Hello watch fans, this is Anders here on Watch On channel. Today I want to talk to you about the real value hidden within the watch industry, because of course in watches we have a lot of different tiers regarding prices, and I think that one special tier of price, one special type of watch is where you really find the ultimate value. I also just wanted to do this video to compare 3 of the coolest 2022 dive watches that we got to the market within the mid-tier range, value-wise. So here we have 3 watches. All of these 3 watches I have done full reviews of. You will find links to the full reviews down in the description if you want to have more detailed reviews of these watches. They are all 3 within my own personal collection. My newest purchase is the YEMA Superman 500. This is the limited edition. They just released a non-limited edition, and this is the mysterious blue. This is a 500 meter, very dark blue, vintage inspired dive watch, priced at $1,249 US, but you can easily get discounts, so you should be able to find this watch at around maybe $1,000. The other one is of course also a new 2022 model. This is the MIDO Ocean Star Tribute Gradient Red. This is one of the newest editions of the very popular mid-tier entry-level luxury dive watch collection of the Swiss Swatch Group owned brand MIDO, and this is the one with the red dial, the Gradient Red. This is priced at around $900. You should be able to actually find them maybe around $750 US. And then we also have a very cool 2022 release. This is from Satina, also owned by the Swatch Group, so it's kind of in the family with MIDO. This is the new Satina DS Action Diver Ceramic. They released a lot of different versions, and this is the green one. This one is also priced at around $900 US. Maybe you could get it at around $800 US. So before we get more into the qualities of these watches and a little more specific about the sizes, the movements and the lume, let me just talk a little about why I think that this price range, this price tier between maybe $800 and $1,600 US is a sweet spot. This is where you can find a lot of value. When we see very affordable watches, they often cut down on the quality of the finishing, on the movements especially, and they really also cut down on the bracelets and the straps. So if you buy a $300 or $400 US dive watch, you will definitely see much lower quality, especially often with the movements. You will see the much lower tier Seiko movements, for example, with a lot of micro brands, and also the more affordable Seiko and Orient watches. Now when you move up towards $800 to $1,600 US, this of course means that the watch manufacturers, the companies, they have much more money to actually up the value, up the quality of materials and stuff like that. And then we start to see in-house movements, and we start to see much better movements. We start to see much better bracelets, materials, clasps. We see much better lume, and we also see much better finishing to the cases and the dials, the hands, the hour markings, the case backs and stuff like that. And when you talk about value going upwards, so going towards Omega and Rolex, for example, so moving into the $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 range, of course you get much better accuracy, you get much better case finishing, the clasps and the bracelets are much better. They use a lot of very cool materials, for example in the Omega Seamaster with the ceramic dial, for example, the movements are much better. But when you just think about, for example, the difference between this Satina DS Action Diver Ceramic and the Omega Seamaster 300, it is kind of just getting closer to each other. You get a lot of the same value propositions with this one. You get the ceramic material, you get the lume, you get the history, the heritage, and you even get a movement with 80 hours of power reserve and a Nivacron hairspring, meaning it's very anti-magnetic, and that's some of the same qualities that you get with an Omega Seamaster, but you pay approximately 5 or 6 or 7 times more. So I think within this range, price range, you get a lot of quality. So let's start with the YEMA 500, Superman 500. This is the newest edition of the YEMA Superman lineup of watches. YEMA, they introduced the Superman in the 60s, and it's their own design. That is of course also meaning this is a smaller French company, and that is why it's more expensive than, for example, the Swatch Group can do with the mass-produced movements and stuff like that. It has a in-house YEMA 2000 movement with 42 hours of power reserve, and it is called the Yemen Superman 500 because it is water resistant to 500, meaning this is the most water resistant watch of these three. It has an aluminium bezel insert, and you see the case, it's made in kind of 3 steps, or the watch is made in 3 steps, the case back, the middle part, and then the upper part. Domed sapphire crystal, really great lume. We'll see a lume comparison just in a few minutes. It comes on a very nice stainless steel bracelet with a very nice taper. The kind of drawback is definitely the clasp, which isn't as good as it could be. This is the limited edition. It's also now released in a non-limited edition, and you can choose between 39 or 41 millimeter encased diameter or the black or mysterious blue dial. This is number 23 out of 200, you can see. And this has a very cool case back. I really like the case back of this YEMA with the YEMA logo. I think it looks amazing. That is also something when you move from the very low tier, the more affordable watches, towards the mid tier of an entry-level luxury. We see here, you get really cool case backs. All 3 case backs of these watches are amazing. So it is a 39 millimeter watch. You get a lock-to-lock distance of 47.9, a thickness of 13.5, and a lock width here of a very annoying 19 millimeters. Again, if you want to see the full detailed review of this YEMA Superman 500, you can click the link down in the description, and this is how it looks on my wrist. A really cool vintage inspired dive watch design, kind of competing or kind of a more affordable entry into these vintage quality, vintage designed watches. And I think it's kind of competition to the Tudor Black Bay 58 if you want to buy a much cheaper kind of Tudor Black Bay 58 designed same era style watch. The MIDO here is the newest release within the Ocean Star lineup of watches. This is the gradient red. Because you have this kind of gradient red dial, it is very much a 60s inspired watch, just like the Yemen Superman here. And I really like the color. I really like the combination of blue, red and green I actually have here in my 3-piece little collection here. So it is a 200 meter water resistant dive watch, and I really like how 60s inspired it is. I also really like how they picked the colors, and I really like that they kept the printing very simple to the dial. You see, this is also powered. This is powered by the Powermatic 80 movement, giving you 80 hours of power reserve and a beat rate of 21,600 vibrations per hour. This has a higher beat rate of 28,800 vibrations per hour. The Powermatic 80 movement comes in different versions. This is a day-date version, and I actually really like the day-date complication of this watch, although it's usually not my cup of tea, because it just really gives me this vintage feeling. The case is of course stainless steel, and it's all polished. And then it comes on a really cool, nice Tropic rubber strap, and you also notice the detail of the outer part of the Tropic strap here. It is the same etching, the same coin etching as on the bezel, just a really cool little detail. And this is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about just doing a little more with the finishing and the details compared to the much cheaper watches. Very domed, distorted sapphire crystal, really looks and feels like a acrylic crystal. Really nice big crown signed MIDO, and you turn it over, you get the sea star here, the ocean star, and you see 200 meters water resistance and easy removal spring bars. The watch is priced at around $900 US. You should be able to maybe find it at $750 to $800 US, and I think it's a high value watch. You can also find the full review of this watch by clicking the link down in the description. It is a watch that is 40.5 millimeters in diameter, 47 millimeters from lock tip to lock tip, 13.4 millimeters thick, and you have 21 millimeter lock width here. Again, on my 17.5 centimeter wrist circumference, it wears really nicely. I think it's a nice sizing they did with this watch. They didn't do it too small and not too big either. You have modern proportions, but still really kind of a nice compact case and feel on the wrist. The bezel action isn't the best, and you will see just a little bit later that the lume could also be better on this MIDO watch. But a really cool choice if you want to move into Swiss quality dive watches with history, heritage and cool colors. So the last one here is the most modern looking. This is the 2022 CERTINA DS Action Diver Ceramic It comes in a lot of different versions, and it has become a smash hit for Satina, which is of course also owned by Swatch Group. So you can get blue, black, two-tone, also a titanium version. I opted for the green version because I really like this kind of dark, more subdued green you get here. It is also priced at around $900 US. You should be able to some places find it at around $800 US. It is also powered by the Powermatic 80, just like the MIDO Ocean Star, but this is the one with only the date and not the day date. So you get 80 hours of power reserve, and of course also with this one, the Nivacron hairspray, making the movement more anti-magnetic. It is the biggest of these watches here today, 43 millimeters in diameter, 50 millimeters from lock tip to lock tip, but just 12.1 millimeters thick, which makes this watch actually wear very close and slim and nicely to the wrist. Annoying 21 millimeter lock width here for a bracelet, which is an oyster style bracelet. Really nice quality, very flexible, and one of the big pluses, and this is something you get when you just move a little up in the price range of watches, you get a really nice clasp. Just look at how thin and flat it is, and then you actually get this on the fly adjustment here. This is actually the dive watch extension, but you can just as easily use it when you wear the watch. For example, if your wrist gets a little bit swollen, you will just push these two buttons and then you will get a little more space. So that's a really nice thing as well. And then of course the super cool Satina turtle here. Of course, sapphire crystal. This one is completely flat. It has a really nice AR treatment because it's very easy in different lighting situations to actually read the time. And it has really great lume, which we will see just in a few seconds. They kept a little more writing on the dial with the logo, the Satina 1888, DS Action Powermatic, Divers Watch 300 meters of water resistance, Swiss made. But overall, I really like the modern look. It is on the heavier side of these three watches, and let's just have a little look at how much these watches actually weigh. So let's start with the YEMA. So 126 grams. Let's try the MIDO. This is the only one without a stainless steel bracelet. So just 99 grams, wears really nice and not too heavy on the wrist. And then of course the most heavy of these watches, almost 200 grams, 197 grams. So this definitely gives you the heft and feel on the wrist you want. On my 17.5 centimeter wrist circumference, I think the Satina wears really nicely. This is because these locks are rather short, and even though you have male end links on the bracelet, because of the only 12.1 millimeters in thickness, it wears really close to the wrist. It is a hefty watch, but I definitely like the modern, more masculine look of this watch, and I also really like that the green is quite subdued. So, as promised, let's see the lume comparison between these three watches and conclude this comparison review recommendation video here. So it is the YEMA on the far left, then you in the middle have the MIDO, and then you have the Satina on the right. And I definitely must say that I think the YEMA has great lume, the Satina as well. These watches are quite comparable with the lume, but I definitely think that the YEMA wins this lume war. And then you have the MIDO, as I said in my full review. It is a bit disappointing that they didn't do more with the lume. So I hope you enjoyed this quick comparison and review of three really cool 2022 mid-tier level dive watches. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, leave a comment down below, give this video a thumbs up, and follow me on Instagram and Facebook. I will see you very soon again. Thank you. Bye.